Greetings, wonderful deep divers. We're going to talk about it. The global tech outage. We got a whole lot to talk about. Shout out to everyone who's here. Shout out to all of you deep divers. Have your say. Awaken the Dream School, shout out to you. Peace, Infinite Waters, diving deep once again. Shout out to all of you wonderful deep divers. I hope your day is going good. Let's breathe. Woo! Breathing in that good ass prana, baby. And yes, let me say a big thank you to everyone who's joined the new patreon.com/RalphSmart, the new Patreon page for all new exclusive content. 2 videos already put out there. Make sure, deep divers, you join there. Click the link down below. So, I put out that video covering the outage, right? The global tech chaos. And a lot of people had a lot to say. So I said, okay, let me go live. Let me see what you have to say, because I don't want to be the one who said, I told you so, but I told you so. I told you that we're in a time right now where you can expect global outages. You can expect all kind of things like this, because these are the signs of the times, right? So, you know, we can really decode what's been going on, because it's truly fascinating, right? So, once again, let me play you just the broadcast that I played on the uploaded video. And we can really talk about it. You can have your say, deep divers, because there's really a lot to decode, a lot to unpack. So this was the main story.
Now to a Fox News alert. American Airlines lifting its ground stop just moments ago as widespread communication outages are continuing to impact major airlines, hospitals, and banks across the world. And more than 100 911 call centers in the U.S. are currently down.
David Spunt joins us live from Washington with the latest. David. Well, good morning. That's good news. So American has lifted its ground stop that was affecting millions of passengers really across the world. All of the American flights and other flights that are in the air that are controlled by the FAA are allowed to continue to fly to their destination. The others are just ground stopped. But this outage is affecting millions of people from Sydney, Australia to Boston, Massachusetts to London, England. Rare to see such a global outage like this persisting for several hours. We have calls to the FBI to see what's being done here. But as we can tell, this is strictly software related, and it appears things are improving at some airports. This is related to a communication system that runs check-ins at airports, keeps flights on time, and banks running. It appears to be down. It's related to the company CrowdStrike. Now, this is a live map from the FAA showing completely closed airports, not ground stops, because the whole page would pretty much be filled up. But the closed airports include Boston's Logan Airport, LaGuardia Airport, Milwaukee, also Las Vegas. CrowdStrike is affecting Microsoft servers, which is affecting the functionality of apps and websites that we all use to check in at airports. The current FAA map, the red circles with the white X's, show that they are closed. Now, Harry Reid Airport in Las Vegas is one of the airports that is completely closed. Obviously, the goal to get things up and running as soon as possible, but that's up to the FAA, who's monitoring this, who's allowing those flights in the air to continue, but no new flights taking off unless they're American, because that ground stop was just lifted. Now, that third-party software outage is impacting other systems out wide. I want to read this statement from United Airlines. It says that this software outage is impacting computer systems, including at United. While we work to restore those systems, we're holding all aircraft at their departure airports. Flights already airborne are continuing to their destinations. Delta in Atlanta has a similar problem. And guys, you have to remember, Atlanta is a huge hub, especially during the summer in July. Earlier, about 110 911 centers were out reporting outages across the country. That's down now into the high 50s, so improving there.
Okay,
Back
good to know. Good update there. David Spunt live for us in Washington. David, thank you so much.
Right, so that was just some background of the story, because like I told you, the most serious IT outage the world has ever seen. This is huge. A lot of people don't realize how big this actually is. It's really, really big. A lot of people have been stranded at airports, trains delayed, affected health services. Major IT outages have hit industries across the world. Almost 1,400 flights are cancelled in banking, healthcare, and shops affected. Cybersecurity from CrowdStrike says a defect in one of its software updates hit Windows operating system. So this is really big. And, you know, like I told you, deep divers, if you're a deep diver, I was telling you about this, right? And I was telling you that you have to prepare yourself for what's coming. You have to be ready for when the internet goes out. You know, many years ago, you know, you had Facebook going down. Even last year, you had Instagram going down. And you see, this is not really triggering a lot of people. But what happens if TikTok goes down for like 3 months? What are people going to do? What happens if TikTok goes down for like 3 months? Because you see, this is a wake-up call. You have to remind yourself that even though they're saying it was a software issue, nobody really knows what it was. And this is what the film Leave the World Behind was telling you. It was telling you that actually, you know, there's a line in that film and the guy says, no one knows who's controlling this, you see. And that's really what the message of the film was all about, that actually no one is in control, right? And that was spooky, right? No one is in control. When you had Teslas crashing into each other, when you had cyber attacks, TVs going out, blackouts, when he said no one's in control, that really makes you think, because once again, you know, they're going to tell you that it's a software update, but the situation is that it's still ongoing, even though they said, okay, it's kind of fixed, but it's going to take at least a couple of days to fix. So we've got to remind ourselves, this being one of the biggest issues, you have to prepare yourself to say, actually, okay, how much time am I spending on my phone, right? How much time am I spending on TikTok? How much time am I spending on Facebook? Because at any time it can be, the rug can be pulled from your feet, right? So you have to always be awake and aware, because once again, a lot of people are warning you that there are going to be more cyber attacks, more internet blackouts, all of these things. So you have to make sure that you're awake and aware, because this is just the beginning. In my mind, you're going to start to see more and more cyber attacks and software issues. The reason why is because we're moving into a singularity. We're moving into the AI world. What's happened is that people are letting machines do everything, right? And when you let a machine do everything, this is what's going to happen. There are supermarkets which are closed, right? And this is what happens when you allow machines to do everything. One of the biggest things about this story is that there's only a few corporations. CrowdStrike is one of them. And these cybersecurity organizations control thousands of companies, airline companies, right? So the Microsoft outage, here are some of the companies and services that have been affected globally. Airports and flights, train services, hospitals, GP surgeries, banks, cafes, restaurants and shops, payment apps, taxis, betting websites, payroll systems, football clubs, stock exchanges, supermarkets, TV channels, water companies, right? So that's just a little list of what could happen and what has happened with an outage. So it's just amazing when you think, oh, it's not going to affect me. It has affected a lot of people. And this is why I told you, you have to really prepare yourself for what's coming, because this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. With so many people who are dependent on technology, you have to remind yourself that actually technology is a beautiful servant, but a very dangerous master, right? So it's fascinating. I had to cover this topic because I know it's going to happen again. And, you have to be awake and aware for what's coming, what's going to happen, right? So this is also what the CEO said, because you see, if it was a software update, it's a costly software update because they lost a lot of money. In fact, the man in charge of the company behind a worldwide IT meltdown today lost nearly £250 million of his personal fortune as his firm admitted responsibility for the outage that halted GP appointments and brought British airports to a standstill. The grievous error wiped £9 billion from CrowdStrike's value and £320 million to $320 million, £247 million from Mr. Kurtz's personal wealth. He owns 5% stake in the firm, and the dip represents a loss of a tenth of his $3.4 billion net worth, right? So you just remind yourself that I'm sure they didn't want this to happen, because once again, they've just lost $250 million, $250 million in just one day, in less than 24 hours. So you've got to remind yourself that so many things are happening. And, even though they might tell you it's a software update, but just like in that film, Leave the World Behind, nobody really knows what it is, right? So you always have to keep an open mind to remind yourself that this is not over. This is not over. And, you have to remind yourself that you're going to find more outages happening in the future. And this is where the world is heading. The world is not moving away from AI. It's going further into the AI. It's going further into the artificial intelligence. So that means, there are going to be people who are going to be even smarter than the cybersecurity. You're going to have hackers. You're going to have people who are going to be able to hack into any database, any system, and they can shut the whole world down because everything is centralized, right? So, this is a fascinating story which I had to cover. Always remind yourself that we're in a time right now where so many people are dependent on technology, but you have to make sure that you're not ruled by the technology, because a lot of people right now are not realizing technology affects everywhere and everything. Airports, all kind of services that people use. So, it's a wake-up call. It's a big wake-up call. And, let's continue to raise the frequency. Let's continue to raise the vibration. But I said, okay, let me cover this because once again, these stories are coming so fast. These stories are coming so fast. And, there's other things which I could share, but I don't think you're ready for that, right? But I just gave you a video of just the main outline. But once again, it's up to you to ask questions. It's up to you to say, okay, how is this going to affect me? Because we're in a time right now where you have to do the work. You have to ask the questions. You have to do the research. You have to support the truth. Because if you don't, only chaos will break loose, right? We're in a time where you have to support the truth. You have to, see what's happening, because you see, the world is not moving away from AI. Everything is becoming AI. And therefore, we're in a time where it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up, because what happens when they shut you out of your phone? You see, where this is all moving is into a global grid network, a smart city. And you see, this affected airports, but you see, the next one could affect you personally. And if you aren't doing what the powers that be want, they can lock you out of the system. Demolition Man was showing you that in that film, where if you said, if you cursed, if you said a swear word, they're going to fine you, right? He got so many fines. So you've got to remind yourself, when you go for a drive, if you break a driving law, they're going to take a picture. AI is already policing you and you don't even know it. So we're moving towards a world where AI is replacing the control structure. But this is also a good lesson to see, okay, what happens when AI crashes, when AI goes down, right? So it's a fascinating time right now. And, you have to really stay awake and aware. And also, remind yourself that the films told you what was going to happen before it happened, right? The films told you what was going to happen before it happened. They don't make these multi-million-dollar films for no reason. They tell you that that's where the world is shifting. It's shifting into cyber attacks, software updates, malfunctions. And that's where the world is heading, so you have to be awake and aware, and also prepare for more of these outages, which will happen inevitably. So like I say, it's a fascinating story, fascinating story, which I had to cover, had to talk about, because, a lot of people have had a lot to say, but when you react to this, you have to ask yourself, okay, what are the solutions? How can I use this information to become my greatest version? That's what we have to always do, right? So always remind yourself every single day that, technology is amazing. I'm always going to use technology because it's a great tool. But it's a very dangerous master. We are in a battle. Shout out to you. You are appreciated. Deep divers, hit that like button, share the video, and give thanks. Hit that super chat. Because like I always say, you got to say thank you. You got to give thanks. You got to give gratitude. We are in a battle, humans versus tech, aka elites. Shout out to you. Great question. Great message. We have to remind ourselves that the only way we can win the battle is to have gratitude. Gratitude towards people who are bringing out the truth. There are a lot of people out there who are spreading truth. A lot of people out there who are putting out great messages. But once again, you're up against the machine. Once again, CrowdSurf, if they lost $250 million, probably $300 million, that's nothing. That's just a few pennies, a few dollars. They'll be fine. And that's the reason why you got to support the truth, because it's man against machine right now. Do creatives, you are appreciated. Shout out to you. Thank you for spreading truth and awareness. Hey, you are appreciated. And I always say, let's give thanks. There are so many things we've got to remind ourselves of. Gratitude is one of them. Did you say thank you today? Did you say thank you to your mentor today? Did you say thank you to your mentors today? Because every day I thank my mentor. NFTsforsale.com, you are appreciated. Shout out to you. God bless Ralph. Keep spreading the truth always and forever. Hey, that's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to spread that truth and, remind you that we are the power. But right now, we've got to support people who are doing it, because once again, it's man versus machine. And the truth is, CrowdStrike is worth billions of dollars, right? That's a cybersecurity company worth billions of dollars. They've got unlimited money to do whatever they want. So this thing is not really going to hurt them at all. So you have to remind yourself that the people who are running this machine world have unlimited resources. So this is the reason why the only way to win the battle is to support people who are doing the work. Because once again, you have to realize it's a monopoly. Even in the US, only 6 corporations control over 90% of the media. In the US, only 6 corporations control over 90% of the media. So everything is an umbrella. Everything is an umbrella, right? So when you remind yourself that CNN, Disney, Netflix, it's all an umbrella company that owns everything. And it's the same thing with this. CrowdStrike own everything, right? They own all the airports, the trains, the health services. So if they go down, everyone goes down. Let me say a big thank you to Juliet in the house. You are appreciated. Let me drop a bomb of love for you. Juliet Paris, you are most definitely appreciated. Thank you so much. Hi, Ralph. I've been watching your videos since 2016. I just want to say thank you. That's all you got to do, deep divers. All you got to do is be like Juliet Paris. Just come in and say thank you. Leave your appreciation and thanks. That's all you got to do. That's all we're here for. Sending positive vibes. Hey, you are most definitely appreciated. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. And that's amazing to see. Like I told you, there are a lot of people out there who are diving deep. And we're in a time right now where we have to wake up. We have to wake up because, like I told you, I don't want to be the one who said I told you so, but I told you that you are going to see more cyber attacks. You're going to see outages. And this was the biggest one yet, right? And you have to realize that this is because we're in a time right now where so many people are dependent on technology. And there are so few companies controlling everything. So when they go down, everything goes down. So this is a lesson that humanity must not place all of its eggs in one basket. One of the solutions out of this problem is to have other companies that control things, have a backup, diversify things. But once again, they're not going to do that because it's a monopoly. There are only 2 companies which control all the media companies, right? BlackRock and Vanguard control everything. So it's the same thing for these cybersecurity companies. They control everything. So it's very difficult for this not to happen again. It will inevitably happen again because it's only a few companies who are holding everyone else in their hands. So it's a lesson to say, okay, we have to really remind ourselves technology is good as a servant, but a very dangerous master. Very dangerous master, right? So once again, the Microsoft outage, here are some of the companies and services that have been affected globally. Airports and flights, train services, hospitals, GP surgeries, banks, cafes, restaurants and shops, payment apps, taxis, betting websites, payroll systems, football clubs, stock exchanges, supermarkets, TV channels, water companies. That's literally the whole of life. And once again, this film was telling you, leave the world behind. When that boat crashed in, I think it was Maryland, or, the boat crashed into the bridge. The same thing happened in this film when the boat kind of lost signal and it came up on the shore. So this is a great film that you really want to study and check out, because everything in this film is exactly what's happening today. Do you think that's an accident? Do you think that's a coincidence? There's no such thing as coincidences or accidents. Everything is happening by a design, right? So this is a time to really wake up. And once again, they might tell you it's a software update, but once again, they lost. The man in charge, George Kurtz, CrowdStrike CEO, today lost nearly 250 million pounds. We're talking about $300 million of his own personal fortune. And, the whole company has lost hundreds of millions of dollars just today. So what did this guy have to say himself? Let's take a listen.
We're now joined by the founder and CEO of CrowdStrike, George.
Deep divers, smash that like button, share the video, and have your say. Once again, smash that like button, share the video, and have your say. And listen to what the guy says, the CEO, because it's very interesting, right? Let's play it.
We're now joined by the founder and CEO of CrowdStrike, George Kurtz. George, it's good to see a lot of people woke up. They saw that blue screen of death. We've been hearing all about the messes at the airports. A lot of broadcast channels, Australia, even ours here. We had those blue screens everywhere. People are wondering what happened. So what did happen?
Have you had that blue screen of death, deep divers, on your Windows computer? I have. And it's terrifying because you just get that blue screen. You know you're screwed, right? Well, that's what a lot of people got today, right? So listen to this, right? Listen to this.
Yeah, so first, thank you for giving me the opportunity to chat with you first on air. And I want to start with saying we're deeply sorry for the impact that we've caused to customers, to travelers, to anyone affected by this, including our companies. So we know what the issue is. We're resolving and have resolved the issue now. It's recovering systems that are out there. And essentially, as you've talked about in the statement I put out, is the system was sent an update, and that update had a software bug in it and caused an issue with the Microsoft operating system. And we identified this very quickly and remediated the issue. And as systems come back online, as they're rebooted, they're coming up and they're working. And now we are working with each and every customer to make sure that we can bring them back online. But that was the extent of the issue in terms of a bug that was related to our update.
Mr. Kurtz, it's Savannah here in Milwaukee. I mean, you're in the cybersecurity business, and I certainly don't even pretend to understand this, but according to your statement, it was a single content update that has managed to shut down air travel, credit card payment systems, banks, broadcasts, street lights, 911, emergency.
So once again, if you listen, they're saying that it's a single software update. Every day, you're having your Windows update. If you have Apple, you're having Sonoma update, right? I learned actually Windows and Apple. When you're using Windows, sometimes it just updates and then it messes your whole programs up, right? So if it's just a simple software update that causes this, what's going to happen the next time when there's another software update, right? So
around the globe, why is there not some kind of redundancy or some sort of backup? How is it that one single software bug can have such a profound and immediate impact?
Well, when you look at the complexity of cybersecurity, you're always trying to stay one step ahead of the adversaries. Excuse me. Man, just 1 second, please.
Oh yeah,
better drink some
drink
water.
Of water.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sure it's been a long night.
It's been a long night. We're always trying to stay one step ahead of the adversaries. And in this particular case, our systems are always looking for the latest attacks from these adversaries that are out there. So there's content.
What he's saying is very interesting. He's saying that as a cybersecurity company, you're always at risk of hackers. So you always have to constantly update the software. So this is the reason why he's saying that, it shut down everything, because they were probably trying to protect themselves against hackers who probably got into their systems, right? So this is the problem when you have a few companies controlling thousands of corporations, airports, transport, health services, train stations, water supplies, right?
Update went out, and as it does, and it's been doing for many, many years, obviously we've got a robust team that's looking at the safety and security and the quality of these updates, and we have to go back and see what happened here. But if there's a negative interaction with the way some of these operating systems work, in this particular case, it was only the Microsoft operating system that was impacted, you'll see a reaction like this, and this is what we've seen here.
Yeah, I think a lot of people woke up and wondered if something nefarious was afoot, if this was some kind of a cyber attack. But you're saying that it was just something within your own system. So now, as we sit here, I was watching the news out of Australia. They were trying to get their television stations back on the air, their hospital software back up and running, the banks going. How long does it take to get everything back up and running?
Well, yeah, first and foremost, again, just to reinforce what you said, it wasn't a cyber attack. It was related to this this content update. And as you might imagine, we've been on, with our customers all night and working with them. Many of the customers are rebooting the system, and it's coming up, and it'll be operational because of, we fixed it on our end. And some of the systems that aren't recovering, we're working with them. So it could be some time for some systems that just automatically won't recover. But it is our mission, is why we're here, to make sure that every customer is fully recovered, and we're not going to relent until we get every customer back to where they were, and we continue to protect them and keep the bad guys out of their systems.
Did you ever think, Mr. Kurtz, that you could experience something like this? I mean, does the breadth of this surprise you?
Well, when you look at software, it is a very complex world, and there's a lot of interactions, and always staying ahead of the adversary is certainly a tall task. So these sort of things, obviously, you try to understand and mitigate them. And in some cases, you have a weird interaction, and it didn't seem like it happened on every Windows system. There's different versions and flavors and patch levels, if you will, and we're just trying to sort out where that negative interaction was. And again, that's what we're focused on, getting customers back up and running.
CrowdStrike CEO George Kurtz, we appreciate you coming on the air so quickly after this happened and explaining your company's point of view. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching.
Right. So, once again, Deep Dives is fascinating because, you have to, take a listen to what he's saying. Sometimes when you have a company who's dealing with cybersecurity, especially in these days and times, you're having people who are smarter than the company itself who can hack into the system. So what you're going to do is you're going to try and update the software all the time to protect people, to prevent people from coming inside, and then it can actually backfire, right? So, it's a wake-up call, because once again, people are stranded, people want to go on holiday, and I'm sure you probably know someone who was affected by this. A lot of people are, but it's a wake-up call to remind you that this is not the end. In fact, leave the world behind. That scene where, the TVs were saying, this is a national emergency, right? And, a lot is happening right now on the planet. I covered the Trump situation, and then this. So this is not happening by accident. You're not going to get so many different events happening one after the other. It's because of the signs of the times. We're living in big times of change right now, energetically. There's also a lot of things which are happening with the solar flares. I told you, the sun has reached its solar maximum, that 11-year cycle, and it's producing so many solar flares. In fact, Earth was hit by the largest geomagnetic storm, right, in the last few decades. And that was recently. So you're having solar flares. There's a lot of crazy things happening with the sun, which is also affecting the grid, the electromagnetic grid on this planet. Everything electrical, the systems, the smart systems, the electric grids, the 5G, all of that is being impacted by the sun. And these are the results. So sometimes, they might say it's a software update, but they may not even know what the true cause of it is, right? They may not even know what the true cause of it is. So, you have to really protect your energy in these days and times. Like I always say, turn your phone off. One of the biggest things that's crazy is that a lot of people can't leave home without a phone. And if the phone has no signal, people have anxiety. People have panic attacks. So what I love to do every single day is to say, okay, let me switch my phone off. Even if you switch your phone off for 1 hour, that's a good exercise to practice to kind of detach from the phone. Because you see, if you're always having something and then someone takes something away from you that you love, which is your mobile phone, your TikTok, all of that, what are you going to do? People are going to go crazy. So now people are saying, okay, my flight is delayed. That's, people might be able to get over that. But what happens if it goes down for a longer period of time? And that's why I told you, one of the greatest things we can do right now is to, if people, write down their phone numbers or find a meeting place where you can meet up, talk to real people face to face, because you see, you can't rely on people. One of the biggest things that this actually prompted was to remind you, if you have an Apple computer or even a Windows computer, you can actually save information on the cloud, right? With Photoshop, which I use, I save everything on the cloud. But that cloud could go down, right? So what I also do is back it up. A lot of people have been kind of getting comfortable with saving things on the cloud. Even your Apple phone, you save things on your Apple cloud, but if that goes down, everything is going to be lost. So this is a wake-up call to say, actually, let me not get so dependent on Microsoft, on Apple, because once again, this is a sign that actually anything could happen at any time. Once again, you've got to remind yourself, these things don't just happen. They don't happen just because of a software update. They happen because something gets out of control. You're not going to shut down the whole planet with airports. Once again, here are some of the companies and services that have been affected globally. Airports and flights, train services, hospitals, GP surgeries, banks, cafes, restaurants and shops, payment apps, taxis, betting websites, payroll systems, football clubs, stock exchanges, supermarkets, TV channels, water companies. You can't shut all of that down just by a software update. Something else must be happening, which they're not telling you about. And whatever that is, that's kind of crazy, right? Because it has the power to really shut everything down. It's showing you that everything is controlled by a central network. And one of the things you got to remind yourself of as well is that, that scene in Leave the World Behind when the Teslas are crashing into each other. Everything is becoming electrical, right? You got an electric car. You got a smart grid. And the problem with that is that that can be controlled remotely. It can be shut down remotely. It can be operated remotely. So if things go crazy, just like this scene in Leave the World Behind, all of the Teslas can crash into each other, right? So the technology is showing us that actually everything can be controlled. Even your own mobile phone can be hacked into. And this is the reason why you can't take the battery out of the phone. A lot of people say, gosh, once upon a time I could take my battery out. You remember deep divers with the Android, even the Apple phones, you could take the battery out. Now you can't. So that means your phone is always on. It can actually be turned on when it's off. So this is crazy. And you have to remind yourself that anything you share online is always, it can always be hacked into, right? Even some people have had their channels hacked into, right? Even on YouTube, some people have had their channels hacked into. They've lost their channel because, once again, hackers, what they'll do is that they'll send you an email saying, hey, we want to sponsor your, they've sent me a few messages, during my time. They're like, okay, we want to sponsor you, right? They say it's from Avian Water. We want to sponsor your channel, Infinite Waters. We're a water company and we're going to pay you $5,000. All you have to do is just, fill out this form. Once you fill out that form, somehow, some way, it actually hacks into your computer. So they're able to get your passwords, right? And that's the reason why it happened to someone I know. Anytime you get these nefarious emails, which are very suspect, you have to be careful, because sometimes people can actually steal your Gmail login. They can steal your credit card number, all kind of things, because they're able to do it in a very sophisticated manner. So once again, this global tech chaos is really an eye-opener to remind us that actually we have to be very mindful of what's coming, because this is not the end. This is just the beginning. And in my mind, you're going to start to see more of these things happen, and they're going to be uncontrollable, and they're going to happen very frequently. Once again, just like Leave the World Behind was telling you, that people don't know what it's like to have no light on, right? In a lot of these Westerns, in the West, a lot of people, they've always had the lights on. What happens when the power grids go down? What happens when people now have to burn candles once again, right? You're not even going to be able to find the cat down the road, deep divers. So what happens when it's back to basics? And that's why I told you, we're in a time right now where, you have to learn at least how to light a fire. You have to learn at least how to go camping. That's what I've been doing, because if you don't know how to survive in the wild, when it gets crazy, you're going to be stuck. A lot of people, they're so dependent on the system that when things get shut down, they're in a standstill, right? And the goal that we have is to say, okay, how can we not be affected if everything goes down? How can we not be affected if everything is at a standstill? You still want to be able to live your life and be free and be flexible, because we're in a time right now where, like I told you, storms are brewing. A lot of things are happening right now, and it's a wake-up call. This is just a warning. This is just a warning, right? This is just a warning, but don't think that this is the last of it. Remind yourself that you're never just going to have isolated incidences that just go away. You're going to have an incident which, people don't really know how it even started, and how it's even possible for everything to be shut down. I mean, what software update can really shut everything down is showing you that everything is connected somewhere. And this is what we call centralization. Everything is being controlled by a few companies. They have the power to shut down airports, supermarkets, health services, water supplies, right? So you might think, hey, I'm free in my comfortable house, but what happens when the TV goes off, right? A lot of news stations, TV stations, they had that blue screen, the blue screen of death. People woke up 6 o'clock, wanted to watch their favorite program, and nothing was there, just a blue screen. So, you have to be ready for what's on the horizon, because this is just an exercise. This is just an exercise, just a test. And if you're not ready for the next one, it's definitely going to affect you. You know, once again, remind yourself that a lot of people have had this blue screen, right? I've had it, right? And it's the worst feeling you can get, because you realize once you get that blue screen of death, all of your information is gone, right? And sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, I don't need this right now. Well, there was a blue screen at the airport, a blue screen on NHS monitors, a blue screen on people's TV. So, how is a blue screen able to appear even when you're not doing anything? It's showing you that someone is controlling everything. And that's the thing. One of the things you can also do, which is very helpful, is to turn off your software updates. You know, sometimes you might have a Windows or an Apple and you have automatic updates on. But sometimes when that's on, it can actually mess up the configuration you had before. So not every update is good, right? Sometimes they don't even know what they're doing. It can screw everything up, right? It can screw everything up. So you got to remind yourself, we're in a time right now, deep divers, where pay attention to what's happening in the world with these outages, because this is not the end. This is a wake-up call. And as I see it, you're going to have a situation where, you know, your favorite app, you know, a lot of people's favorite app is TikTok, you know, the younger generation. If that goes down, what are people going to do? Because you see, people don't really care unless it affects them. You know, some people may not have been traveling. They don't care about the people at the airport. But what happens when there's something that you want? What if YouTube goes down, right? So even I've had to think about that. So, okay, if YouTube goes down, it's cool. I'm not going to panic. I'll chill out with the cat down the road. So you've got to remind yourself, anything that you use, you have to also prepare yourself that it could potentially go down. And you have to have a plan B. You don't want to be so dependent on everything that you're using right now, your favorite apps, because there is a possibility that it could go down. And you have to really be able to withstand that. You have to be able to survive that. You have to be not worried or in fear. Because once again, these are the signs of the times. You know, we've been in a world for so long where a lot of people are becoming so addicted to their cell phone. And now the people who have created these technologies have tremendous power. In fact, AI is becoming the new messiah, right? And this is what this is about as well. This is what this is about as well, where you're really seeing AI become the new messiah. If AI shuts things down, what are you going to do? Right? Because AI can shut down the whole supermarket. You know, if you go into supermarkets right now, you don't find people. You find self-service machines. And in fact, there were a lot of self-service machines that were closed, a lot of self-service machines which weren't operating because of this global outage. So even your self-service machines are controlled by these companies like CrowdStrike. It's a global monopoly on every single piece of technology you have. It's all controlled by one entity. And this is terrifying, because it means that anytime they want, they can pull the plug and it's a blackout. It's an outage. It's delayed flights. It's the blue screen of death. So you have to really remind yourself that you know, see this as a wake-up call. See this as a wake-up call. And also, you know, make sure every single day you are connecting with real people. Because if you're so dependent just on this artificial stuff, if it goes down, you're going to go down with it, you know? You know, it's fascinating. I was just surprised to say, oh my gosh, you know, I can't believe this is happening, because this is what we've been talking about, right? I made a video last year to prepare for cyber attacks. They're saying this is not a cyber attack, but it's a software update, whatever it is. But I told you, prepare for these times because they're on their way. A lot of people thought I was just talking for the sake of talking. I was talking because, you know, it's very easy to see where things are going. All you have to do is just study the patterns, right? And one of the biggest patterns is that everyone is in the same place. Everyone has the same software. It's only really Windows and Apple, right, who are the two powerhouses, right? So they're literally controlling so much. Deep divers, hit that like button, share the video. Let me give a special shout out to HV in the house for showing some love to Infinite Waters. You're most definitely appreciated. Once again, hit that like button, share the video. Hit that like button, share the video. HV, you're most definitely appreciated. Let me give you a round of applause. HV, thanks for going live, Ralph. This was one of your 2024 predictions. Thank you. Thank you, HV. Absolutely, right? That was one of my 2024 predictions. If you watch that video, I told you there would be a massive global outage. And HV took note of that, right? Because I told you. It's not because I have a crystal ball, but I'm able to see patterns. And one of the patterns that you have to pay attention to is that everything has been getting you ready for a global outage. Whether it's predictive programming, leave the world behind, whether it's these strange things, you had a boat in, you know, in the US crashing into a bridge, right? So everything has been getting you ready for that as well. You have to remind yourself there's a race. Even what the CEO of CrowdStrike was saying, there is competition even between these companies. And this is the reason why all of these crazy things are happening, because there's internal fights happening. These companies aren't always kosher. They're not always friends with other companies who are in the same field. They're enemies. And therefore, even other companies could try and sabotage other companies just to have that monopoly. So you have to remind yourself that it's not only the hackers who are a threat, it's company against company, right? Aries, you're most definitely appreciated. Let me give you a round of applause for supporting the show. Thank you for spreading the knowledge. Hey, that's what I'm here to do. You know, once again, I always say, we're in a powerful time right now. It's a powerful time. And we have to remind ourselves this is going to affect us. You see, we have to realize that we're heading into a AI dictatorship. And one of the things we have to be ready for is to stand up against the AI, to stand up against the machine. This is what the Terminator was all about. This is what the Terminator was all about. In San Francisco, they've already got robot dogs. So, Studio H, shout out to you. You're most definitely appreciated. Let me give you a round of applause for being so awesome. Studio H. And once again, deep divers, you can ask any question on these live streams, right? And this is what Studio H has done. Once again, everyone in the chat, hit that like button if you support the real. Share this video. Once again, smash that like button if you support the real. Okay, Studio H, how can we detach ourselves from the central system and balance our lives in this world of technology? Thank you so much for making time for this live. Fantastic question. Fantastic question. Once again, how can we detach ourselves from the central system and balance our lives in this world of technology? Thank you so much for making time for this live. One of the things you can remind yourself of is that, like I said, technology is not an enemy. No, technology is a friend once you know how to use it. Technology runs this system that we're in. Without technology, there is no system. When we talk about detaching from this central system, you have to stop being so dependent on it. And, a lot of people have so much dependence on the system. We all do. Because if you are here, you have a roof over your head, you're part of this system, whether you like it or not. If you travel, you're part of this system. People going on an aeroplane, if they want to go to New York, Hong Kong, wherever they want to go, they need to get on a plane, right? And therefore, they have to be a part of this central system. Well, you see, you have to realize that elevation requires separation. And every single day, what I do is take time with myself, meditate, connect with yourself, because this will give you foresight to see things before they happen. You see, some people knew this was going to happen even before it happened. Just like in Leave the World Behind, some people already knew of the coming cyber attacks and they left the city, right? So you have to remind yourself that you have to have a deeper intuition to feel what's coming on the planet. What is the energy like on the planet? What's been happening, right? An attempted assassination on Donald Trump, right? Now you have a massive global outage. And this is actually the biggest global outage the world has ever seen, because it's shut down everywhere, not just one country, but so many different countries, their whole infrastructure, right? So you have to really remind yourself to be aware of what's happening and what's going to happen before it happens. The balance of technology, the balance that we need with technology, is to realize that technology has a place, but it's only a tool. It's a tool that you have to use very wisely. A lot of people use technology to literally bring them everything. Technology can't bring you everything. It can give you something, but not everything. So we've got to become mindful that we can't expect technology to give us human connection. We can't expect technology to solve all human problems, right? We got to do that by ourselves as well, right? So I always say, put yourself in the driver's seat and technology in the back seat. What's happened with the world is that people have put technology in the driver's seat. And when you do that, when you let technology take over, it's going to take over and it's going to do crazy things, because once again, you have to control the technology and not let the technology technology control you. Deep divers, you have to control the technology and not let the technology control you. Great question. Great question. Jack Roberts, you're most definitely appreciated. Let me give you a round of applause for being so awesome. Even the cat down the road is waking up. Absolutely. Even the cat down the road is waking up. Absolutely, Jack Roberts. Absolutely. You know, the whole world is really waking up, because you see, people are now realizing that actually those people who are warning you of coming global outages, those people who are warning you that the whole grid could go down, are actually, their predictions were right? And a lot of people were telling you that, hey, beware of a global outage that's on its way. Even films were telling you, Leave the World Behind was one of them, right? Leave the World Behind was one of them. And you have to really remind yourself that humanity has been going through a lot recently, and more is going to come. This is not the end of it. In fact, this is just the beginning. So one of the things I love to do every single day is to say, okay, I have to prepare for what's coming. Because you can say, I don't want to hear about it. Well, if you don't want to hear about it, you'll be affected by it and you won't know what to do when it happens. So one of the best things you can do is to equip yourself with knowledge, so you're not afraid of when it does happen. You're not surprised about when it does happen, and you're totally calm. You see, a lot of people, they were just, going about their daily business, and then their flights are delayed, all kind of things. But if you have awareness of this, you can say, okay, I know what time it is. I was ready for this, right? I'm expecting this, because we're in a time right now where you're going to see a tremendous amount of chaos, even in technology, simply because there are people who want to control everything. And you see, the old way was to fight wars, right? Now the new wars are going to be fought through technology. The new wars are going to be fought through your iPhone, through the apps. Who has control of these apps? There's a whole war happening. And, the people like CrowdStrike, who own all of these other companies, who control their cybersecurity, they have a lot of threats. That's the reason why they always have to update their software, because there's people who want to come in and hack them, right? So when they're doing these software updates, they might trip up and mess up everything. So we have to remind ourselves of the days and times we're in, because there are big battles happening. Once again, we're in a time right now where spiritual warfare is happening. There's a big battle happening with corporations against corporations, companies against companies, and also people have a war against the people on the planet. So we're in a time right now where you have to really wake up, because everything you upload to the cloud can be hacked into, and it can be erased in a few seconds. So, we love to upload pictures onto the internet, right? Do you ever ask yourself where they're going, or are they going to be there? In one day, your whole Instagram could be wiped out. Your whole TikTok could be wiped out. Your whole Facebook could be wiped out. So I always tell people, you don't want to upload everything that's precious to you just to the internet, because once again, all of that can disappear in a few seconds. There's people who will even upload their child's photo on the internet, And I'm like, did you even ask your child permission to do that? You got your whole life on the internet, right? But what happens when it's gone, right? So we have to become mindful not to get too addicted with posting every single aspect of our lives, because it's going to be a hard blow when you lose all of that information, when you lose all of that data. How are you going to survive? A lot of people are going to have nervous breakdowns, mental breakdowns. They're not going to know what to do because they've lived their whole entire life on Facebook. You know, there's people on Facebook every single day. They're uploading everything about their life. Oh, I ate in this restaurant. I'm on the toilet right now. I'm going up here. So these people, it's going to be very hard when things go down because they're not going to know how to survive. So one of the best things you can do is say, actually, let me learn how to detach from even the internet, even technology. I can use it, but I'm not addicted to it. That's what I do. You know, I can use it. I'm not addicted to it because I realize this thing is flimsy. It's easy come, easy go. So you have to remind yourself that you don't actually own anything that you upload to any of these apps. Let me repeat that. You don't actually own anything you upload to these apps. Let me repeat it one more time. You don't actually own anything you upload to these apps. Facebook own everything you post to Facebook. YouTube own everything you post to YouTube. TikTok own everything you post to TikTok own everything you post to TikTok. Instagram own everything. Instagram own everything that you post on Instagram. And that means they have control over your data. You don't own your data. Once you upload it to Instagram, they own it. So you have to become mindful of that, right? The only way around that is to say, okay, let me have my own website. Let me create my own app. And that's a good idea, but that takes time and resources. But remind yourself, just because you're uploading to an app, you don't own anything. And they can actually control the app. They can delete you off the platform. They can take your pictures, anything. So you have to remind yourself, if you don't read the terms and conditions, for instance, TikTok terms and conditions says actually, you know, we can check other apps on your phone. So a lot of times you don't even realize if you have certain apps, they can actually see what other apps you have on your phone. They can spy on your phone, right? A lot of people don't know this, right? So this global tech chaos is really a wake-up call for you to realize that actually it's time to stop giving so much power to these corporations, and it's time to really take back your power, because once again, you got to be free. You have to be free. In a world right now where so many people, they use their phone for everything, we have to start using our brain for everything, our mind for everything, because the computers are going to go down and we have to be ready for it. One of the biggest things we have to remind ourselves of is that these companies, they're not going to lose much. Even though they lost $300 million in a day, that's nothing but a few peanuts. So these companies have so much money that they can do things like this and they'll still be fine, right? So you have to remind yourself, this is a wake-up call to see that these cybersecurity companies, how are they able to have billions of dollars, right? So you have to realize that there's a whole monopoly, and the people who own everything, if things go down, they're going to be fine because they've got unlimited money. But you may not be fine. So you have to remind yourself that, wake up, pay attention, because they might tell you that, okay, he lost this amount of money in a day. Like they say, the man in charge of the company behind worldwide IT meltdown today lost nearly 250 million pounds of his personal fortune. That's just talk. That's nothing. That money is a few dollars, a few cents, because by next week, they'll be fine, right? So you have to remind yourself, when these things happen, no one really takes accountability. The people that suffer are the passengers, the people, once again, it affected. Here are some of the companies and services that have been affected globally: airports and flights, train services, hospitals, GP surgeries, banks, cafes, restaurants and shops, payment apps, taxis, betting websites, payroll systems, football clubs, stock exchanges, supermarkets, TV channels, water companies. So you have to remind yourself, it's the consumer that suffers. It's the passengers that suffer, not the corporations. So always remind yourself, when these things happen, it's the everyday person that suffers. The corporations are fine because they've got enough money to bail themselves out. So, it's a wake-up call. Once again, this was prophesized. This was predicted that, hey, these things are going to happen. And this is not the end. This is just a wake-up call, right? To show you that they've been telling you. They've been getting you ready. You should have been ready. You should have watched Leave the World Behind. You see, when they make these films, a lot of people think it's just entertainment, but a lot of the people who write these films, they're aware of what's coming. They're aware of the climate of the world. They're aware that these things are in the pipeline. So what they do is that they show you it before it happens. So when it does happen, you'll be like, oh, it's just like the film Leave the World Behind. But what they were doing is they were just telling you and programming you to accept it like it's nothing, right? So a lot of people now, when it happens, they're like, oh, okay, people aren't even concerned that much because it is what it is. But people don't realize that this is the biggest global outage in human history. The biggest global outage in human history. And this is shocking that it has the ability to wipe out everything in so many different countries at the same time. So this should really show you that it's only ever a few corporations that control everything on the planet. So it's really a wake-up call to say, okay, you think you're free, but you're not, because someone can shut everything down and everything can come to a standstill. So this should show you that actually one of the scenes in Leave the World Behind, and this is a thing where the plane was flying and it kind of crashed right on the beach. What happens when someone is able to hack into the aeroplanes? You haven't thought about that. What happens when someone's able to hack into the electric cars? Because all of these things can be hacked into. And even the boat which crashed into the bridge, no one even knows how that happened, right? So a lot of strange things are happening. It's really time to wake up. It's really time to realize that this is not the end. This is just the beginning. A lot of people aren't concerned, but they're still using their phone on TikTok or whatever app they're using. But what happens when that gets shut down? It's going to be a hard pill to swallow and a very uncomfortable feeling for a lot of people. That's the reason why if you're not weaning yourself off these apps now, when shit really hits the fan, it's going to be hard for you to do that. So, what I'm doing is reminding myself that, hey, if you didn't create the app, you don't own it. If you didn't create the app, you don't own it. I always say, there are people who are uploading pictures to, Instagram and their whole life on Instagram. And I'm like, that's cool. But if you're not getting something out of that, Instagram is using you. Because Instagram isn't paying you anything, yet you are helping the company grow. So you have to be smart. Like, some people are smart when they use Instagram, they have a business. and they direct people from the Instagram to their website or whatever, that's how you use these apps. Because if you don't use them like that, you don't realize that you are becoming used. You don't go on Facebook just to waste time and post pictures. You better start a business there or something, because that's how you can make it work for yourself. So that's what I've done to say, okay, I'm only going to use an app if I can make a profit off it, if I can use it for my own advantage. If you have that mindset, then that's good. But if you go on an app just to say, I'm just going to go and, browse around, you're being pimped by the app. And a lot of people are being pimped by these apps because they don't realize that every user on an app is generating billions of dollars collectively for the company. Billions of dollars just by you being on the app. So you have to find a way to make it work for yourself. Right now, even with Facebook, they've allowed like revenue, ad revenue, and that's a good thing, because if you're on Facebook, make some videos, go live, do something where you can get something back instead of just showing off. Because the more you show off, the more they profit off your dumbass, right? And realize that these people are so stupid. They're using this app, but they're not doing anything with it. But there are some people who go on these apps and they've got a whole business. They've got a whole plan to say, when I'm on this app, I'm going to promote what I have and I'm going to network. And that's how you can make it work for you. Once again, technology is the tool. But if you're just there willy-nilly, just idle going around, you're wasting your time. So once again, this global tech chaos is really a wake-up call, because AT&T went down. AT&T went down. The next thing which you have to pay attention to is the mobile networks going down. The mobile networks going down. This is what you have to pay attention to, because you see, once again, there are only a few companies which control the telecommunications networks of the whole planet. And if they go down, you're literally screwed, right? So this is really a wake-up call, a big wake-up call to remind yourself that a lot of people think they're free, they've got everything figured out, but you don't realize that it's other people that control everything. A few corporations that control thousands of companies. These companies don't even control their own computers. Let me repeat that. These companies in the airports, in the supermarkets, they don't even control their computers. Their computers are being controlled thousands of miles away in some database, and everything is hooked up there. So you got to remind yourself that when you go to the airport, they don't even control the airport. In the airport, it's controlled from somewhere else, and it can be remotely controlled. Everything, if it goes down, that's it. It's game over, because even the guy said, the CEO, it's going to take some days before everything's back to normal, because once you have that blue screen, some people got delayed flights, then they've got to wait. It's going to take time to say, okay, who's on this plane? Who's on that plane? So it creates a massive backlog. So this is what can happen just when something goes down just for a few hours. It can create utter mayhem, panic, and chaos. So right now, it's time to wake up, and it's time to realize that this is super important, because this is just the beginning. Once again, become very mindful of the cloud. What I did when I was making videos is to realize that you have to back up things on a hard drive, on an SSD, because when I upload a video to YouTube, it's stored on the YouTube cloud. But once again, YouTube could go down. So you can't be dependent on just uploading things to the cloud on your Apple iCloud and think, oh, it's on iCloud. Everything could be wiped out. So you want to make sure you can back up everything on your own SSD, on your own hard drives, and remind yourself that we're living in times of great change. We're living in times where technology is really showing you that in a few hours, it can change your entire life. It can make people go from smiling to a mean mug, right? So you have to be aware that this is not the end. This is just the beginning. And mark my words, you're going to see a bigger one than even this. You're going to see a bigger global tech chaos than even this. And that one is going to be very hard for a lot of people. But I'm just giving you the heads up so you're ready. So you're preparing yourself for when it comes. So when it comes, you'll be fine. You know, one of the biggest things that people aren't paying attention to is that a lot of people, once again, they use the technology, but they don't even have an idea how it works. You know, sometimes you think, okay, the person flying the plane made the plane. They don't even know how the plane works. They're just controlling the plane. They didn't build the plane. They don't know the whole science behind it. So a lot of people that you see in companies, they don't even control the infrastructure of the company. They don't even know how it works. It's controlled by a few corporations who really know how things work. So you have to always remind yourself of that there's levels to this. There's levels to this, right? We have to remind ourselves once again that the world is moving into a smart world of 15-minute cities, of digital IDs, social credit scores. And you see, I told you, go and watch the film Demolition Man. Go and watch the film Demolition Man. And have you ever been driving deep divers and sometimes you're like, gosh, I just saw a flash, right? AI is monitoring your every single step, your every single action. This is where the world is shifting, where AI is going to police you. If you say something that you're not supposed to, you're going to get a fine for that. If you do something you're not supposed to be doing, AI is going to snitch on you. So you have to remind yourself there's a big battle happening between man and machine. And right now, AI is whooping your ass. Right now, AI is whooping humanity. The reason why is because AI, a lot of people prefer their phone than a real human being. A lot of people prefer their phone than a real human being. So AI is whooping people's ass. So the more you go to AI, the more AI can literally control everything. So you've got to pay attention to Ray Kurzweil. He even went on the Joe Rogan podcast and he was saying that by 2029, we're going to reach a singularity where artificial intelligence supersedes human intellect. So you have to pay attention that the AI is becoming extremely sophisticated and extremely clever, and it's replacing you. Jobs are going to be lost. And soon, AI is going to be in power. There's not going to be a president. This is what the whole thing is happening even in the US. You see, there's going to come a time where there are going to be no more presidents. There are only going to be global tech dictatorships. And this is where the world is moving. Already you saw what's happening in the US with the political situation. Things are in a shambles. It's a big joke. And this is the reason why AI is going to come in and replace everything. Mark my words. But like I say, deep divers, I wanted to give you this download. Hit that like button if you support The Real. Share this video. Get it into the algorithms, because it's these algorithms which are really dictating what people see, what people watch, what people hear, right? So if you hit that like button, it gets shared into the algorithm. So once again, you have to just be ready for what's coming. You have to be aware for what's coming. you have to realize that this is not the end. This is just the beginning. There are going to be more global outages happening in the future, and you have to be able to survive them. You have to be ready for them. One of the ways you can do that is by right now learning to detach from your phone. Also, not becoming so dependent on technology for everything, but also learn basic human skills, survival skills. Learn how to set a fire. Learn how to light a fire. Learn how to go camping. Connect with real people. Realize that technology is not a bad thing. Technology is a marvelous thing, but it's always dangerous when you let it lead everything. It's always dangerous when you make it your master, because if you do, this is what happens. You have to remind yourself that there are things online which you see which aren't even real. There are articles from news stations, and they've been created by ChatGPT. Already there's software which can literally have an avatar of yourself. It can actually clone your voice, and you can have a digital version of yourself. It's already here. There's a software which can actually mimic people's voices, right? So what's happening even in the music industry is that you can literally sample someone's voice and create songs from it. So your favorite singer who may have passed away, you can literally have a whole album with whatever you want them to say in the exact tone or way they can say it. So we're living in really crazy times where it's time to wake up. And healing, honey, absolutely. Humans are better. Real humans are better. Absolutely. I agree. Once again, this is not a time to panic. It's a time to really be empowered, to realize that these are the signs of the times. There's going to be chaos. There's going to be a lot of chaos. And if you are sensitive and intuitive and can really tap in, you can see that's where the world is shifting. Because things must get worse before they get better. You must have more global outages before people can see that actually we have to go back to basics. Because you see, you often think that these corporations have everything under control. You often think that these corporations have everything under control. But you see, they've got so much data, so many things happening that they can literally conk out and they can literally crash. And that's exactly what happened today, right? With this global tech chaos. So don't just think because it's a powerful corporation, they know what they're doing. They've never dealt with so many people, with so much information, with so many calculations in milliseconds. So they also have a tremendous challenge. These tech corporations have a tremendous challenge because they're dealing with so much data, and they're also dealing with the threat of other people trying to hack their system. So they always have to have software updates. This creates a big conflict globally, and that's what's happened. So they're going to have another software update and then another one. So these things are going to continue to happen. So like I told you, be awake and aware of what's coming. Detach, reconnect, and, we're in these times, deep divers. What can we say? We're in these times. Like I told you, we're in a time right now where you can't even relax. I was just saying, okay, I'll just chill. This happened. So I said, okay, I got to talk about it. We're in that kind of time where things are going to be happening constantly. This is not just about a Microsoft global tech chaos. This is not just about a power outage. This is about you realizing that these are the signs of the end times. These are the signs of the end times. These are the signs where everything can be wiped out. You see, I've spoken about ancient civilizations who had great monuments, even ancient Kemet or Egypt, right? I've been to the pyramids, beautiful sight, but that entire civilization just disappeared. And a lot of other civilizations just disappeared. Our civilization is on the brink of just disappearing, because if you can shut down all the information and bring it to a standstill, there will be nothing remained of what this civilization was, because you see, everything is digital. And that means if someone was able to wipe out everything on a computer, that's it. This civilization is done and dusted. So when you study other civilizations, other ancient civilizations, you realize that a catastrophic event happened. A catastrophic event happened which wiped everything out. Some people say it was a flood. Some people say whatever it was, but the civilization wasn't the same. So this is also what we have to pay attention to. That these are the signs of the end times, where Babylon is having big trouble. And it's not just happening because of software updates. It's happening because these are the signs of the times. These are all wake-up calls from the universe. And no one is in control. That's what they told you in Leave the World Behind. That's what the guy said. He said, the scary thing is that nobody is in control. We sometimes think that, hey, it's these corporations who are in control of everything happening. Well, in actuality, no one is in control, meaning that a higher force is ordaining, is making this all happen. And this is what is really eye-opening, to realize that actually, yeah, they might tell you it's a software update, but what if it's not? What if something is causing these things to crash and they don't know what to do? So you have to remind yourself, we're in these times right now, one of the greatest things and the beautiful things that I can see is that a lot of people are waking up, because these things will force you to wake up. They'll make you realize that actually at any time, at any moment, things can be brought to a standstill, because everything is being controlled by a few people, by a few corporations, control billions of people's activities, movements, and everything like that. So you have to really remind yourself that you have to stay empowered as much as you can. On a positive note, remind yourself, a lot of people have already tuned out of the kind of grid, and that's a beautiful feeling. The more and more you detach, the more and more you say, actually, let me take a break from Facebook, all of these things, because now you're not going to be affected when these things happen. But at the same time, you may need to travel. I might need to travel, deep divers, right? You might need to go on holiday, but there might be a delay. So you have to realize that it's going to affect you in some shape, form, or way. So this is the reason why you have to prepare yourself for when it happens again, to not be surprised. Because if you're not concerned about this event, it's going to happen definitely to you, and you're not going to know what to do when it does happen again. It could be at that very crucial point in your life when something goes down, and you're like, oh my gosh. So, we have to raise the frequency as much as possible. We also have to realize that these are the signs of the times, right? So I wanted to bring you this because nothing is more important right now than live interaction, and not just putting out a video, but also having commentary in live time, seeing what the audience feels and how they see it. But wake up, deep divers, because this is just the beginning. And what you might see is that this story might blow over, but things are far from normal after this. This is a signal and a sign that this could happen again. So be aware, be awake, and also be ready for the next global outage, because it's going to happen. Just be ready. I want all of you to hit that like button, share the video, deep divers. Hit that like button, share the video. And let me say a thank you to everyone who's been here, everyone who's been diving deep, and beautiful to go live. Let's raise the frequency. HV, you are most definitely appreciated. Let's raise the frequency. Ralph with music. Let me give you a round of applause. Let me give you a round of applause. You're most definitely appreciated. Let's go. Let's raise the frequency, deep divers. We got to stay empowered.
I'm so happy. The whole world is just beginning. We already won. It's about us all. So many beautiful deep divers here. It's a choice.
Always a choice, deep divers. It's always a choice. Like I told you, deep divers, we're in powerful times right now. And a lot is happening. A lot is happening. Because once again, we're in these days and times where a lot is going to happen. A lot is on the horizon. And you have to be ready for any other global outage. Anything that happens, don't be surprised. Just be ready. And once you're ready, it's not going to affect you like it would have if you weren't ready. Be prepared. We're in days and times where you have to protect your energy because we're being influenced from the outside in. You see, Elon Musk went on Joe Rogan and said, "You're already a cyborg." He said, "You are already a cyborg." So we have to remind ourselves, many of us are cyborgs because we've been interfacing with the technology. So we have to remind ourselves what's at stake is our humanity, because human beings are slowly being erased and they're becoming machines. And it's up to us to say, okay, I want to hold on to my humanity over this artificial insanity, right? That's what we always have to do. Let me shout out to Star Mist in the house. You are definitely appreciated. Shout out to you. And let me say a shout out to everyone who's been here, everyone who's been diving deep. Deep divers, keep diving deep. Keep reminding yourself that, it's not going to help you if you say, okay, I don't want to know about this. We have to pay attention to what's happening because it's going to affect us in some shape, form, or way. But ultimately, it's about realizing we have the powers to create our own reality. We have the powers and the power to create our own reality. So let's continue to raise the frequency, and let's continue to not be so dependent on the external world, but more dependent on the internal world. That way we can create any reality. We've got to remind ourselves, thank you, HV. We've got to remind ourselves, like HV said, we have the power. We have the power. I would play, I've got the power, right? We have the power, always. And this is what the message is all about. This is what the message is all about, that we have the power. So continue to remind yourself that we have the power. Deep divers, shout out to everyone who's been here. You're most definitely appreciated. Everyone in the chat, I see you. Studio H, Adam, HV, everyone who's been here, thank you so much. And I'll be back. Keep raising the frequency, deep divers. Smash that like button, share the video. Smash that like button, share the video. Also, if you haven't, make sure you join the Patreon page for all new exclusive content. You're going to love the videos there, deep divers. Join. Let's keep raising the frequency all day, every day. Just want to dance right now, deep divers. Oh yeah, good vibes, good vibes. Tanella, Barkley, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And once again, to everyone who's been here, you're most definitely appreciated. And we've been doing a few lives, deep divers. Let's keep it up. Next week, we'll do another live. And I'm sure there's going to be an amazing topic. I know there's going to be an amazing topic. And be here. Once again, to everyone who's been here, you are appreciated. Peace, infinite waters, diving deep once again. Stay well, stay healthy. Peace. Yo! Hit that like button, deep diver, share the video. Peace.